Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Sal, that is Dilla. Today we're going to be talking about Moon Knight as a whole, primarily the finale, but the series and how we feel about the direction it ended up taking.
We told you! Been talking about this the whole time this show's been out. We were like, I don't know, kind of not great. People were like, God, wait till the end! And then all I heard about before I saw the end was like, the ending sucks!
Yeah.
Have you not learned?
Who saw this
ending
coming?
always sucked.
Look, here's my overall opinion of Moon Knight as a series, which includes the ending, okay? And my direct problem with Moon Knight as a whole. As a whole, the series, I don't think it's a bad series. Okay, I don't think inherently it's a bad series. For me, it ranks up there with Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye, placing WandaVision and Loki much higher. And I feel like WandaVision and Loki explored more concepts and deep dived into the overall Marvel world. Moon Knight, I feel like, tried to kind of be a little ballsy, but didn't quite get there. Kept getting to the edge and then kind of backpedaling off of going into history, depression, child abuse. We got right there. And they would go, okay, that's all we need. You get the idea what we're going for. Now we're going to go back. Mm-hmm. And so they didn't actually go that deep into it. That then adds to, we had 4 episodes of just doing MCU fare of Stephen Grant and Mark Spector goofing around, getting used to the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde mentality. Episode 5 is the origin of the superhero, which is also the origin that actually dives into mental health. And then episode 6 is literally MCU finale. And the fight was fun. It was great. The CG was better than the opening of Doctor Strange, but we'll talk about that another time.
The CG was not great. It got better, but like that one big reveal shot of his costume, it was like, this is a PlayStation scene.
Every time he puts the costume on and it CG's around him, I love the people that try to argue, no, it's a practical suit. They had it on the set. No, they used a CG one for 90% of the shots.
You think in real life it did all that?
Spider-Man also wears a practical suit, and then they cover it with CG.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Spider-Man is whenever he's in movement, he's not taking it on and off in CG constantly. That's why it looks bad, is because you're going from a real plate to a completely CG thing. And like the only time really he takes something off that's completely CG is the mask. He's never actually taking a mask off, but that's so quick and gone that your brain doesn't recognize that it looks weird.
Yeah.
So the ending of this show, which is my biggest complaint, was, look, I get it. It's not the comics, and I'm fine with that. But they took a character who is a street-level superhero that fights ghosts, vampires, zombies, who has a mental disorder which other superheroes like talk to and don't understand, which adds to his character development. And they turned it into a big CGI final fight. Literally, there was 2 kaiju monsters in the background fighting. And my thought process was, wow, the MCU could probably do a really good Godzilla flick. I don't think the series was bad. I wanted more from the first superhero that we were going to get that didn't exist elsewhere, and this show was going to be about them, their origins, and disconnected from the MCU. And I feel like we spent 5 episodes getting to the origin so that we can do a fight. My biggest complaint with this entire series is the pacing was way the hell off. I feel like episode 5 should have been episode 2 or 3. I feel like you then could have had another bridge episode of them goofing around and going back and forth. I feel like we should have had at least 2 full episodes of Moon Knight, not 1 full episode of Moon Knight, because if you count up all of his time, it's about 45 minutes. He didn't even put the suit on until the last 20 minutes of this last episode. I feel like we should have gotten a little bit more Moon Knight. And I'm not even saying I wanted bombastic, crazy fighting, but I am watching a superhero flick. I expect him to be a superhero, which means I expect to see the suit. I expect to see the practical version as he's walking around in it. Like, that's what I expect to see in a superhero movie. If I want to see a movie about DID, I'd go watch better movies that do it much better, or TV shows that do it much better, because they don't get right to the edge of going into it and explaining it and then jumping ship going, okay, nope, we got there. You know what we're going for. Time to leave. We're still PG-13. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not even PG-13. It's like just this weird, I don't know. This was not great. And
I was gonna say, what's your opinion, Sal? Let's just go into your overall take on this whole thing.
It's not great.
For those who are watching,
really
we'll go into
great.
the nitty gritty on the actual final episode in a minute. But we'll just Sal, what's your full opinion, and then we'll go into Dylan's.
Yeah, Moon Knight's my least favorite Marvel show.
I wouldn't give it that. I know you love Falcon Winter Soldier. I love Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I didn't like the Falcon parts of that because I just
I love Falcon, but I don't know, man. I just couldn't get into it, like especially because there were glimmers of not greatness but fun. You know, where I'm like, oh, this is fun. Like some aspects of the finale were fun, and man, I don't know. It's not great.
The fun parts for me was like swapping suits. That was fun.
That's the thing. I'm like, there we go.
Yeah,
I also
cool
like
moments, but they last 10 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they're gone.
Yeah.
And Dylan, before I go into the biggest complaint I have about the final fight, Dylan, what is your opinion on the whole series? And
Sure. I don't like this show. And I'm
so
really
I love how at the
disappointed
ending
mostly.
I'm the one that's like, no, it's okay, guys.
Yeah. No, I don't, I'm not going to pull any punches like this show did because I don't like it. I think it's just a huge letdown and a misunderstanding of the Moon Knight character. It's like, it's so weird because I think the director or like the creator of this show talked about how much he loves Moon Knight and like he feverishly wrote this script and then put it on
that's really
Marvel's
weird
desk.
because like I didn't see him in the show.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's so strange to me is because like it feels like someone who in an elevator was told who Moon Knight is by a PA and they were like, okay, got it, and then they wrote this script. And I was like, all right, well everything is like extremely surface level and you only focused on the stuff that's like interesting to you and whatever, but when you're trying to balance that with what the actual character is, this is what I said last week, like it ends up falling apart.
Yeah.
And that ripples throughout this whole show, and especially in this episode where, there's cool moments, like there's cool stuff in this show, but like I said earlier, it lasts for 5-10 seconds and then it's gone. We never see it again.
No, and I think that's my big issue because I think this is such a wasted opportunity. I'll start with that because Moon Knight is the supernatural combatant. That's how they separate him from Batman and other street level superheroes. And
I never saw that. Moon Knight is a street level superhero. The supernatural
yeah, but he fights.
stuff, like,
he fights a lot of supernatural stuff on top of that.
He has in the past, but like my exposure. You see, that's funny because like there are multiple iterations of Moon Knight.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Everybody could have a different version of Moon Knight, and there's like they're almost all on display except for the street level cool one, and that's the most damning condemnation of the show. Is like I think Feige loved Moon Knight, and then gave it to this showrunner who's like, thanks for the opportunity to do what I want to do with Moon Knight. That is not what Moon Knight is at all.
Yeah. Well, he like hinted at a lot of the runs, like the doctor thing and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's like they're superficial, all surface level.
It's
Exactly.
all
Surface
they do a
level.
lot of like, oh, this is in the comics? Isn't it cool? What I was going to say is I feel like it's a wasted opportunity because even though he doesn't always fight the supernatural, he does fight it quite a bit, at least in the more recent runs.
Yes.
And we're literally diving into that potential we have Blade, we have Black Knight, and like this would have been a great way to introduce that these things actually exist in the universe. And we didn't get that.
No.
Like you could have
If
easily
this
been like,
was-
yeah, look at the Egyptian gods and the undead.
Right.
Imagine they pulled from, instead of Jeff Lemire's run, they pulled from Warren Ellis's run, where it is just 6 issues of an anthology, and you get 6 episodes that are completely different, focusing on maybe a different personality each time, and a different new sect of the MCU that we haven't seen before. So like ghosts, zombies, vampires, whatever, and this show is a vessel to introducing Moon Knight and the more supernatural, weirder side of the MCU that we're gonna get into in the next few years. It's like
Yeah.
The episode of Daredevil where it's all about Karen Page's backstory. You guys remember that from 25 years ago?
Yeah.
That is better than the best episode of the show.
Yes.
Wow, you went,
absolutely.
you at least were like on the fence about the show up until this finale.
I mean, because it's just like at the end of the day, it was not about anything.
Yeah.
No.
It ended up being about nothing.
So let's start going to some of the nitty gritty things that are kind of weird or wonky. First off, the giant kaiju fight.
I didn't have a problem with that.
I didn't have a problem with that at all, but I also found it a bit out of place and weird because Like, we just have two giant gods battling in the background.
Yeah,
you know?
well, they represent the fight that's happening on the ground, and maybe nobody can see it because of the setup with the jackal fight from the beginning, which was the coolest fight in the whole show.
But that's what I wanted to get into. They didn't clarify that. We don't know.
No.
Was all of Egypt watching two gods battle it out?
No, and that's
Well,
weird.
clearly
'cause,
they
like,
don't care.
They don't care.
MC doesn't care.
No, and you could tell like neither do the showrunners because like for them, they want you to care, but then they don't put the same level of interest or care into making this thing like connect with you, and so you're just seeing things happen before your eyes, and you're like, that's a thing that's happening. Like that kaiju fight is actually kind of fun, but like you could see where there was nothing. It was so. This show is like patting itself on the back for like being different and trying to be innovative, and then it does the most cliche things possible.
Yeah.
And then
well, like the
sets you up to
CGI
like
battle in the ending was just. I was so waiting for Haro to bust out a suit. Like everyone got a suit, but Haro.
Yeah, I don't even know if Haro actually has a suit in the comics. Like again, I don't find him interesting. Like I thought that Ethan Hawke did a nice job with that character, but again, like who cares? Like who cares? Like what's he trying to do? I mean, I understand what he's trying to do. Comments like, oh, he doesn't understand what he means. Yeah, I know what he means, but like, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to the viewer? What is it saying about the world?
The ideology, like the difference in ideology between Khonshu and Amenth is like or Ahmed or whatever, is the two. That's the main thing. Like that is the theme that they want to explore, and they just don't because they're so busy trying to make a Moon Knight show and failing that just falls apart.
Until the two gods were arguing about it, I didn't even realize that was what we were dealing with. The ideology being that separate, that close and separate at the same time. Until they literally slapped me in the face with it and said, yes, Khonshu wants to punish the evildoers. So does Amet. She just wants to do it before they do it.
Right.
Khonshu wants to wait for them to do it. And
I mean, they do set that up in the beginning where it's like...
It's throughout the whole show.
Somebody says that.
That's what I mean. But what I'm saying is, like, it did. I don't feel like it did a good enough job of like delivering that message, because I didn't even really dawn on me that was going on. Because, like, yes, Moon Knight's dealing with the bad men. So is Haro. Haro's not sitting there like, oh, let's get rid of the Avengers.
You know why? Like, because Moon Knight doesn't do anything in the show. Like, because Moon Knight is so busy trying to figure out who he is or what's going on that he never like, they keep alluding to Moon Knight being his avatar and doing those things like punishing the wicked. That never happens in the show.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at. I think that's the main reason why.
Yeah, that happened in flashbacks.
You can say it all you want.
Right.
But until I see it in practice, it's like, no, Moon Knight's not even here. We're just dealing with Stephen Grant and Mark Spector.
Yeah.
So Khonshu's not punishing anyone.
No.
So the Khonshu being a guy that's willing to kill for vengeance, and I know they've said it, he's here for vengeance. He punishes the travelers of the night that are bad. Yeah. They've said all this, and I get that.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen Moon Knight do any of that.
Nope.
All I've seen happen is Mark Spector and Stephen Grant argue with Khonshu that they don't want to do that.
Right.
And so, due to that, now the only thing going on is Haro wants to punish everyone. Bad guy.
But, like, does he? And why? Why?
Yeah, no, he doesn't have any motivations in this show, because he didn't like his time as Moon Knight. Other than seemingly to get back at Khonshu.
Yeah. That's it.
And, like, normally, you complain, like, I could see people being like, why would you complain about, like, Haro's motivation when, like, Ironmonger puts on a suit for, like, just because he's mad at Tony? Like, what? And it's like, that movie is, like, 90 minutes long. This is like a 6-hour-long movie.
Also true, yeah.
You can really add depth and characterization, because otherwise, what else do you have? And it turns out there's not much. Like, they fill, like, scenes that could be 2 minutes are 10 in this show.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
that's the problem.
That's what I said in my little 60-second review. I don't think the show is terrible, but the show feels like a 2-hour MCU movie that they literally stretched out, which has been our complaint since the beginning. Because they didn't take the time to really dive into anything. What we got was more jokes, more stretched out scenes that didn't need to be stretched out. More.
Yeah, because like we could show you more Moon Knight stuff. We could there could have been an entire subplot of a year ago, like just Moon Knight being Moon Knight.
Right,
and then
which would show what he does and why Moon Knight himself is not great.
And then all of us just complaining about why didn't they just show us that show instead of the show we got? But even then, that's more show. But they're like, that's expensive. Can we just have scenes where one actor argues with himself? And that happens multiple times in this episode with multiple actors, I mind you. Like, please, spare me. Like, this is low effort.
Like I said, they kept getting right to where I wanted it to be, and then they would jump ship.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't think it's a terrible show, but I feel like there's so much wasted potential in this show.
Yeah, like it's technically well made. Like the shots aren't terrible. The transitions aren't bad. The editing isn't subpar. But
the acting is incredible.
The acting is good.
Stand by that.
It's not like it is a failure on every conceivable level. It's just it failed to grasp my interest. It failed to hold my interest in moments where they come to expect me to naturally give my interest. And at this point, it just feels like the MCU overall is just like, well, we earned your trust. Now watch us rest on our laurels for a little while.
We're gonna abuse it.
Yeah, like it is straight up. Like now
we don't gotta earn it anymore. We don't care anymore.
There are two supernatural-based superheroes that got large multimedia, attention recently, and their effort has made me question the quality control of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what a great example, and I don't want to talk about the scene. We'll start talking about the individual scenes of the finale now. That kind of shows me us getting right to where it needs to be. That would have hammered home. He's the Knight of Vengeance, or whatever. What is it? Spirit of Vengeance, or Avatar of Vengeance, however they're wording
That's Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. He's not Spirit of Vengeance, but you know what I'm saying. Like we got right there, the Jake Lockley stuff. We didn't once see an out of control Moon Knight.
Nope.
We had two scenes in particular where they implied that is where the vengeance is at. That is where the ideology is going to be almost neck and neck.
Yes.
And they chose to cut it out, only to reveal in a post-credit scene what was going on.
Yeah.
Like the fight, the CGI fight was cool, and then we got right to the moment where we're going to see Moon Knight cut loose. We're going to see what Moon Knight is.
That's when you show it. That's when in the previous
and that's when I
episodes,
go, why aren't you just working with Ant-Man? You were literally doing the same shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's when you make good on the gun that you showed earlier in the show by cutting away and saying like, hey, there's something else going on here, and you see a shaky tomb, and then in the finale you say, all right, time to make good on that promise. Let's use the gun that we showed earlier in the show.
Hey, yeah.
Right, it should have left us
don't.
questioning. Well, it should have left us questioning. Was that Moon Knight? Was that Khonshu? We should have been questioning what happened because it was so brutal. But the MCU cut away.
They do that, yeah.
It's so frustrating.
No.
Why?
And they have the gall to make the reveal in the post credits with Khonshu as if to say, hey, here's the Moon Knight show you wanted that we're gonna do somewhere else. Fuck you.
Which they won't. Like that's the worst of it, right? Because they're not. Like
no.
Because I think that there is. I don't know. We have to take a look. I've never actually looked at like the reception, like whether people love this show universally or whether they are split. But
like the actual numbers.
Yeah, because like I wonder.
The things that I have seen right now, at least on Twitter, is that I hate that this is now a term, but apparently it's mid. Like they're like, it's mid, it's okay, it's not bad, which is where I stand with
I've
it.
seen
Like
every
it's not,
opinion.
Yeah, I've seen every opinion. The comments are like, "This show's amazing," and like and
oh, I've
Twitter's
seen
like,
those.
No.
Our commenters are like, no, this show's amazing. You guys are wrong. I've seen that. Yeah,
Right. Well,
I think it's coming. They're coming more around though, because I think that you're excited early on in a show, and maybe you trick yourself into wanting to like
better.
it because
Right,
you like
see
Moon
the
Knight,
writing on the wall, and you're like,
Marvel.
wait a minute. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you're like, hold on, this show actually isn't going anywhere. Because I think people were. I wasn't on the first couple episodes of the reviews here, but I read some of the comments, and I think people were saying it's like, we'll give it time, like to breathe and stuff.
And I
like,
said
Totally
that.
fair.
I had
Fair
complaints,
point.
but I was
Okay,
like, let's get to
sure.
the finale.
Yep.
but then it didn't.
No.
So-
it was the same. It was just in different
Right.
ways. It was the same show, and it was the same problems with this show. But like, the worst of it is, you get this post-credit scene that's like setting up Jake Lockley and the darker aspects of Khonshu and Moon
Time
Knight.
for the next thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, they're not going to make that show. Like, either
No.
they're not going to do Moon Knight 2, or because they're not going to make a movie. Like, that's done. Like, they're not going to make a Moon Knight movie.
If they are
So-
able to, at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier, say that Captain America will return in Captain America 4,
America
and at
4.
the end of Loki, say Loki will return in Loki Season 2,
Yeah.
and they can't do that for Moon Knight in any way. They can't say he's coming back in the Blade movie, he's getting
No.
a Season 2, blah, blah, blah. There are no current plans, which makes
Exactly.
this so
They're
absolutely
waiting to see what the overreaction is.
disrespectful and frustrating.
Right. Well, and the worst of it is, like, you set up all this stuff, and then it's like, Moon Knight will return in, like, a Midnight Suns movie or as a cameo in Blade, and it's like, well, then guess what they're not going to pay off? Any of that.
Any of that. No. That's the thing, is like this show is the story arc between the two story arcs that they don't write about because no one cares.
Yeah.
Like, before this, we had Moon Knight being regular and cool Moon Knight, and then after this, we get Jake Lockley being the main personality and being a savage Moon Knight. Those are two very cool ideas, and we
looking
get
at the Twitter
this.
under the hashtag.
Yeah.
Looking at the Twitter, the hashtag, most people are either mostly ranting about Jake Lockley. And kind of what we're saying here, where it's like, Jake Lockley arrived! That's going to be so great in season 2! And
Yeah, like you know who Jake Lockley is. Like, if you did, you'd be like, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, no. He drives a cab.
So I
He's
want to
not
talk about something I
important.
did enjoy about it,
No.
other than one line, which I felt was ham-fisted and not needed.
Yeah.
I actually really liked Layla as the avatar of Talouetti, whatever her name was.
Right.
Hippo.
I liked the outfit. I liked the combat that she did.
She looks great.
She
Yeah.
looks great, and the way she was like just in it, just flying through, blocking things.
Yeah, and she's a natural. I was
Yeah,
like,
I actually
somehow.
liked that a lot. The
She's
only
being
thing I thought was
possessed,
funny
whatever.
and not
Okay.
needed was the comment from the little girl, which we talked about earlier. It was so ham-fisted.
Awful.
Are you an Egyptian superhero? And she's like,
Yes.
yes. And I was just
am.
like,
First of
did
all,
you have to say it? Like, yes, you made it
If you- yeah.
Egyptian.
If you have to have that line at all, which is just like a complete,
on the news.
like raw, basic, like filmmaking, show don't tell, ooh, fun. If you have to have that line for whatever, you really want to hammer it home, then don't have her say I am in the most disinterested, I don't care way possible. Like,
Yeah.
first of
Yeah.
all, Layla in that moment would not have said that because she didn't want to be doing that. She was
I literally
being
thought
an
that myself.
avatar
She made
because
a
she had
deal of
to.
this is temporary.
Yeah.
This is a temporary
exactly.
arrangement.
Yeah.
She's like, yes, I'm a superhero now. And it's like, no, you're not. You
No,
don't
you're not.
want that.
Aren't you giving this up in 2 minutes?
Right, and
Right.
if you don't, like, prepare to baffle audiences across the globe when like the new Avengers arrive and it's her and
Layla.
yeah, it's
The
Layla.
temporary situation is like a 30-year span of time.
Yeah,
Yes, of
like,
course.
yeah, that like that. Are you an Egyptian superhero? Is just like, oh,
But I actually liked the character. I liked Layla's character, and I read an
Fine.
interview, and there's a couple things that happened in this episode, and one of which was the director wanted to create an Egyptian superhero, got the
Shocking.
okay from Feige.
Totally.
Okay, fine, I get that. I get why you changed the female lead from the comics to an Egyptian superhero. You did
Right.
Layla. I get it. Cool. I completely get that. I have nothing wrong with that. But I love one of his other comments that they also wanted to put the other ending in the psychiatrist ending to imply that there's a possibility that the entire MCU is in Mark Spector's head.
What is
And
wrong
I'm just
with
like,
you?
no one's gonna walk
No.
away from Moon
That
Knight.
scene, that's
No.
the craziest part about this is because if you had taken that scene and edited it into the last episode, and that's how the last episode ended, way cooler way to end off
Yeah.
that last.
Yeah.
But then you put it here and it's meaningless. It's like, we're done
Because
with
immediately
that. You
after
can't just
that,
go
we
back
then
to
cut
that.
to an epilogue.
No.
Yeah.
no. It's this show isn't smart enough to pull that off.
No.
That scene had to be after the Jake Lockley reveals and these other things. Like, you end with that scene because that way the last thought I have of
Yeah.
Moon Knight is, wait, what?
Yeah,
Especially
You
if
don't
that's
end
the
it in the
intention.
middle and then go to it.
And you definitely can't do that. You know why everybody clowns on that same thing in that St. Elsewhere soap opera? Because it's stupid. And
Yeah.
it's uninspired, and you can't do it after 15 years of movies.
well, that's the thing.
not
Like,
a thing.
you know what? St. Elsewhere, you could do it there.
Because
You
no
know,
one
like,
cares.
but like, you could do it 25, 30 years ago. You could do that
Sure.
idea
Yeah.
because it was really shocking and interesting. But like, you can't do it ham-fisted like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to do that, you can't. You can still do that reveal, and they've done that before. And it's behind the glass box of most cliche, obvious twists at an end of a bad script we can
It was
do.
all fake.
Yeah.
Here's my
Oh, it
problem
was a
with that
dream or
twist and that
fucking-
reveal.
Yeah,
We didn't imply it until episode 5.
I know.
No.
What if the first episode, every episode kind of ended with him talking to the psychiatrist,
Yeah.
leading us
Yeah,
into that
exactly.
possibility?
Right. And the psychiatrist is like, what did you say you did again? Like, oh, you like, you know
But
what I mean? Like,
that
you
goes
found a
back to my
scarab, or
pacing
you-
problems.
Yeah.
That's my pacing problem. Because if we had ended episode 1 on the cliffhanger of he's in a psych ward, and then we picked back up and he cuts back, if we had been peppering in that psych ward the whole show,
Yeah.
that would have been like, wait, is Moon Knight happening in the psych ward? Are we going to pull a Legion? Is that actually what's going on?
Right.
Like imagine the whole
but
show
you didn't
is written
apply
like a
it till
debate.
episode 5.
Yeah. Like, which one do you prefer? Like, maybe
Yeah.
the fact that it's like the fact that the superhero thing is so unhelpful for Mark, you're rooting for it to be fake, and then that's messing with your perception. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
like it's written in a way where something happens in the real world that is like, oh, well, that's perfect evidence for blah blah blah, and then Harrow gives like a really reasonable response in the psychiatrist war. It's like, well, okay, maybe not, and the whole time you're actually questioning it because they're ping ponging back for the whole show, and that's what your show is about. You make it about that side of Moon Knight,
and that's how you fix pacing. Because otherwise, what we have is 3 episodes of Steven trying to figure out who Mark Spector is.
Yeah.
Right.
And what is going on, which isn't
man.
bad, but it's also
Half the
another show.
Yeah.
Because we spent
3
3 episodes
hours.
doing that. We spent 1 hour exploring Mark Spector. We spent 1 hour exploring the origin, and we spent 1 hour exploring. Okay, we've accepted it. We're Moon Knight now. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And then they
by
finally
the way,
accepted it became Moon Knight, and the deal was to break the deal immediately after. Okay,
Sure.
we'll fight the big baddie, but you got to release us.
what's the point? The credit where credit is due, like the action scenes and the scenes where they finally have a grip on their on sharing this body, and they're switching between Moon Knight and Mr. Knight,
fun.
especially in like the 20 seconds of action where like Mr. Knight gets knocked into a corner and then Moon Knight comes rearing out of that corner. It's like, that's cool. That's really cool. Should have been the
Moon
whole
Knight
show.
flying?
Yeah, this one.
I loved Mr. Knight being like, you have this one, Mark, and Mark's like, whoosh,
Well,
whoosh.
Yeah.
and the idea of them like being in sync after their ordeal is an earned moment that
Yes.
again, like, I don't want them necessarily to switch bodies like that flawlessly until the end of the show, but I still wanted to see Moon Knight in this show every episode, which we
Right.
didn't always get. And
I think half of the show,
Yeah.
either we don't see Moon Knight at all, or Khonshu is literally not even tethered to them.
right,
So
right, exactly.
great.
I was really hoping we were gonna get a thing, because it's like Moon Knight doesn't have like superpowers, so wouldn't it have been neat if like Khonshu was trapped and Mark still became Moon Knight anyway?
Without
And there's,
powers. Yeah.
Then there's like this
That's an interesting spin.
this tension of like, what if Khonshu gets out? Like, is Moon, like, you know what I mean? Like, because Mark's still
Yeah.
like a highly trained,
I thought
military
that's
guy.
what they were. In the post credits, I thought that was what they were doing before they showed Jake Lockley. I thought Khonshu was coming to Harrow to be like, "Hey, I want a more savage host. I'm going to take you
Yeah.
over again," and then that
Exactly.
was going to be whatever
It's
the
so
next thing
weird.
was.
It's so
Same.
weird to have hidden Jake this entire show. Even imply he's there and he's the savage one.
Yeah.
And then also end with, oh no, Khonshu still has a deal with Jake though. He's still like, this is, if we do a season 2, this is gonna be
What
the
if that was
savage
the
Moon Knight.
midpoint?
Yeah,
What if that was episode 3? Whoa!
That
way
would have been
better.
great.
yeah, way better. But then we would have
Like
to do
I
a
said,
completely
once
different
again,
show.
my problem with the show is the pacing. It's just weirdly
Yep.
paced.
Yeah,
Yeah, nothing.
And at the end of the day, this is just another
M.
MCU adventure. It's
No.
another MCU adventure filled with peppered in with jokes. You avoided any kind of like real savagery. It took its time getting to the point. It was a long form origin movie.
Yep.
And it ended with a big CGI battle.
yeah. No, it was just a missed opportunity.
And this was supposed to break the mold.
Well, if that's the case, then we're in trouble.
Well, it did break the mold because it's really bad, and usually
Right.
these shows aren't. So-
Yeah, I usually take away something from these shows that I really enjoy. Like,
Usually there's like
Hawkeye.
a theme
We
or
didn't
an
even talk
arc.
about Hawkeye, like how it's like, hey, Hawkeye, I really enjoyed Hawkeye, and like, despite
Yeah.
the fact that I also has been desperately wanting Kingpin to be in the show, I liked it even if he wasn't in the show.
Exactly.
With
Which
this, if there was no
like,
Moon Knight in this show, I'd be
ugh.
like, get the hell out of here.
Oh yeah, no, like right now for me it stands at about a 7.5. This show would be a 3 if we never got Moon Knight.
This
So I'd be
show's like a 2.
What was
Yeah.
I watching? I was
No.
not watching a superhero show.
No.
I've said it before. I watch plenty of other shows that do much better dives into all of the actual drama subtext.
Yeah. We're in circles.
Yeah.
This show isn't great.
Nah, I mean I
luck
think it's
next
okay.
time.
Better like next
Yeah.
time. I was literally gonna say that.
I know
We'll
people
see.
are going
What
to
is
disagree
next?
with this. I'm going to end this with a reminder.
What if 2?
Everyone,
Yeah, what's
it's
the no? I'm
Obi-Wan.
so like what's the next
What's
show?
the next Marvel
I thought it was
show?
She-Hulk.
Oh, yeah,
Is
She-Hulk.
it's Miss Marvel or She-Hulk? One of the
No,
two.
Miss
think
Marvel
it's
got
She-Hulk.
pushed even further. I think think
That's
it's
right. Okay, so it's probably She-Hulk. All right, that's their next time. Next try
Yeah.
at a show introducing a new character. Hey,
Yep. But
Hopefully
anyway,
that's something.
Yeah.
reminder at the ending here, you're allowed to have your opinions, and so are we. Let us know what your opinions are down below. We know a lot of you guys really have been enjoying this the whole way through. Did the final episode seal the deal? Is this now one of your top ranked episodes? Or are you like, oh my God, Moon Knight's the greatest, whatever? Or are you kind of flipping over to the side? Are you siding with Dylan and Sal saying it's a terrible one? Or are you siding with me where I'm like, it's mid, the new term that we're all going to use apparently for like a year.
Yeah.
We need a better outro than that. You just stop talking.
Okay, fine.
No.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell.
No, it's good.
Alright,
It just
cool.
stops. It's like a Mr. Beast video. Just like, anyway, that's the video.
And now it's over.